For this week's lesson, use conditionals in expressing arguments is our target most essential learning competency with the following learning objectives. First, identify the four types of conditional. Second, differentiate the patterns and uses of the types of conditionals. Third, construct conditional sentences from a specific situation. And fourth, use conditionals in taking a stand. Have your book, paper, and ballpen ready, your eyes and ears steady as we begin the lesson. Our topic is all about the different types of conditional sentences. Before we begin the discussion, let us first analyze the sentences below. A. If you study hard, you will pass the exam. B. If you studied hard, you would pass the exam. C. If you had studied hard, you would have passed the exam. In the following sentences, you can observe that there is the word if, and they are made up of two clauses. They are separated by a punctuation mark, comma. Also, the sentences differ in the verb form. These examples best illustrate the different types of conditional sentences. Before we talk about the different types of conditional sentences, let us first answer the question, what is a conditional sentence? A conditional sentence is a sentence that has an if clause, which states a condition, and another clause that states what happens as a result of the condition. Let us have example number 1. If you listen, you will learn. The underlined clause is called the if clause. Remember, an if clause is introduced by the word if. The clause inside the box is called the main clause. Bear in mind that main clause can be easily determined by answering the question what will happen plus the if clause. The word you is used as the subject and will learn is the predicate in the main clause. Example number 2. You will learn if you listen. You can notice that example number 2 is the same with example number 1, except that main clause comes first before the if clause. The clause inside the box is the main clause and the underlined part belongs to if clause. The word you is the subject and will learn is the predicate in the main clause. Remember, the order of the two clauses is flexible. If the if clause comes first, it must be followed by a comma. The main clause can also be at the beginning of the sentence. In this case, don't use a comma. There are 4 types of conditional sentences. They are classified according to the degree of probability that they express. First, present real conditional. Second, future conditional. Third, present unreal conditional. And fourth, past unreal conditional. Each type uses different tenses to show the difference in the degree of probability. This week, we will only be focusing on the first 2 types. Let us begin with the first type, which is present real conditional, or otherwise known as zero conditional. This type of conditional sentence is used to talk about things that are always or generally true. It is also used to talk about scientific facts. When we say scientific facts, these are statements based on scientific studies. Scientific facts require additional direction and support from theory and logic. The formula for this type of conditional sentence is if plus simple present plus simple present equals present real conditional. Let us have example number 1. If you heat ice, it melts. The if clause is if you heat ice and it melts is the main clause. The verb heat in the if clause is in the simple present tense, and so with the verb melts in the main clause. Example number 2. If it rains, grass gets wet. The if clause is if it rains, and grass gets wet is the main clause. The verb rains is in the simple present tense, and so with the verb gets. Verbs in simple present tense end with s if the subject is singular, and without s if the subject is plural. The second type of conditional sentence is the future conditional. It is also known as the first conditional. This type of conditional sentence is used to talk about future events that are likely to happen. The formula for this type is if plus simple present plus simple future equals future conditional. Let us look at the following sentences. If you buy the ingredients, I will bake. The if clause is if you buy the ingredients, and the main clause is I will bake. The verb buy is simple present, and the verb will bake is simple future. If I go to the park, I will bring my dog. The if clause is if I go to the park, and the main clause is I will bring my dog. The verb go is simple present, and the verb will bring is simple future. A simple future tense is illustrated by adding the word will to the base form of the verb. To check if you have fully understood the lesson, bring out your paper and pen for some learning activity. Directions: find the error in each of the following sentences. If there is no error, the answer is letter E. Avoid punctuation mistakes if any. Write only the letter on the space provided. For more learning activities and performances, visit our official FB group, PSAT English 9 SY 2020-2021. Thank you. Have a great learning day.